Welcome to Midweek. That's right, 30 minutes in the middle of your week with the purpose. What's the purpose? To dive a little bit deeper into the message, the content that we've heard on Sunday, to ask questions, to wrestle a little bit with the hard truth, and to come together in community to dive a little bit deeper and to apply the things that we're learning. So I hope that you'll engage. I hope that you'll connect. I hope you'll invite someone, right? Share this content right now to invite others into the journey together. And now, let's dive in deep to this episode of Midweek. Hey, welcome back to Midweek, HFC and fam. So glad you joined us on a Wednesday evening in the middle of your week. I'm here with my friend Jeff Wilhelm. And if you don't know Jeff, you will soon. He's joined me for some conversation as we talk a little bit together. Before we dive into that, though, a few reminders for you, church family. First and foremost, this is kind of a bittersweet announcement, but this is week 14, episode 14 of Midweek, and some of you, I see you out there, have been so loyal and faithful, jumping on every week, and we are taking a little bit of a hiatus. So season 2, because there's a season 1, you better believe there's going to be a season 2 of Midweek, but we are going to take a few weeks this summer to kind of reassess and reevaluate and relaunch. So stay tuned on that. I know that you'll miss seeing me. Yeah, you won't miss seeing me every Wednesday, but I know that you'll miss this content. For some of you, it's been really meaningful, but stay tuned. We will be back in a few weeks as we kind of relaunch a midweek element to our church. Second is, I've got my Best Week Ever shirt on today, and just be reminded, church, that we really do believe July 12th through the 19th will be the best week ever. Specifically of your summer. And so if you have not signed up, the link is there on the screen. Man, what are you waiting on? Please get involved. I want to challenge our church. I think every person can be a part that week of in some way, creatively, whether you're here in person, engaging, whether you're helping online from a distance. I think every person can give at minimum 2 hours that week to serve and impact our community. We're called to bring hope in these days because of Jesus, because of what he's done in our hearts. The church, we need to be people of hope in these days like never before, and I think this is an opportunity, so don't miss out. Best week ever. With that said, this is my friend Jeff, and Jeff is, he's not really new to our church, but he is still relatively new. I think you can hold on to that title new for a few more months, to leading the director for Hope Distributed. If you don't know, Hope Distributed now has been a partner with HFCN. We are separate 501c3s, but a partner, an arm, ministry arm of HFCN now for a long time. It began like in a closet in the auditorium, and now God has grown it to 2 different buildings and an impact of what is kind of a weekly, monthly impact right now, typically for Hope Distributed, number of people.
It really varies. I mean, it's been a lot, I can tell you that much. I can tell you that in 2019, we helped 30,000 people and gave out over 1 million pounds of food.
That's crazy. 1 million pounds. I can't even imagine that, but 30,000 people. And so can you just think about that? That's the way that God has really blessed this ministry. And so many of you watching today, you're Hope Distributed fans, you're volunteers, you have given and sacrificed, and you've believed in this over many years. Some of you may not know much about Hope Distributed. And so as you know, these past couple weeks for Midweek, we've been leaning in a little bit to find out how we can not just care about ourselves in these days and even our church, but our community and our world. And so I had to take an opportunity to invite Jeff in to talk a little bit about his story, getting to know him a little bit as he's still kind of relatively new in this role, but then also Hope Distributed. So let's actually start with Hope Distributed. We're going to get to know you a little bit, but mid-March, COVID kind of happened, right, and that's impacted all of us in a lot of ways. But just tell us, how's that been impacting Hope Distributed first, and then how have you kind of readapted and responded in the midst of this crisis?
Well, how it's impacted us, because we used to do the pantry where folks come in and they shop for their own food, because we want to make it as dignified and as regular as we can. Yeah. With COVID, we had to change everything we did because per CDC, per the state, we could not have people in the building.
Right.
So, we had to turn on a dime and do the drive-thru. And, I honestly can say that I'm amazed at our volunteers. I just sit back and watch sometimes. I can't believe it because, these are folks who are volunteering. I mean, they are on front line. Like we hear about everybody else on the front lines.
Right, yeah.
These people aren't getting paid to do any of this. They're choosing to be on the front lines, man. And they came eyeball to eyeball with a global pandemic and didn't blink.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't thank our volunteers enough. I can't show them my appreciation, my love enough. There's not enough words in the English language to quantify, my passion for them.
I've gotten to see a little bit, just trying to show up when I can, and seeing many of the volunteers. Now some in this season have had to step away, and their hearts are kind of broken by that because they want to be there. But kind of seeing the model shift. And again, if you don't understand the model that he's kind of referring to, it's when we opened the new pantry, which is kind of a lot more square footage than what we had. The vision was kind of, we want people to be able to come in and shop and pick the food they want. But in this season, that wasn't possible. And so really, in a matter of like 48 hours, it was like, well, we can't close down.
During the entire time, we weren't going to close down.
Right.
Because, this and that may get canceled, but hope doesn't get canceled.
That's right, yeah.
And so we were going to be there no matter what it took. I mean, if it was us going out to Boyers Road and handing out the cars while they drive by, that's what we were going to do.
Right. And so I get to see here on the property, because again, Hope Distributed's on our property. The days the food pantry's open, they've got a neat orderly system, but the cars are kind of lined up around the building literally before they open, and volunteers are out there. I got to see a picture one of the first weeks you did it. Volunteers just, at a safe distance, but praying over cars, still valuing relationship with people, but just to see the gratitude in people's hearts, because if anything, there's more of a need in this season. And share a little bit about that, because I know you've seen initially you had to order more food. You had more people responding. And so people are in need, and probably, I would say, one of the first needs that people have in this season is food, because that's probably, they're going to pay their electric bill or they're going to pay their rent, but probably food is where they might be most vulnerable.
Right. COVID-19 really made families prioritize where they're spending their money. Yeah. And, we had to order more food, and I have to give a shout out to our administrator, Ellen, who's done a fantastic job working with the Blue Ridge Food Bank, making sure that we have plenty to give out to people. But from the get-go, as we've had cars lining up, I want to make it a priority because, one, being the director, I felt that I should be out there. But two, just as a Christian, as someone who, believes in the hope of Jesus, I wanted to make sure that I conveyed that to every car that came in. I wanted to look people in the eyes. I want to see how they're doing. I want to go through life with them. And I would always joke with the people in our line, because we had cars going every which way in our lineup. And I would joke, say, Chick-fil-A's got nothing on us with their drive-thru. Because I
love that.
But we just found it that we had to, in this time of fear, anxiety, everything else, it was important for us to be that reassuring, calm presence in their lives. Yeah. And for me personally, anytime that a car comes up and it's a family and they got their kids in the car, that's when I light up, because I make sure that I connect with those kids and do something stupid or funny and make them laugh, even if they have no clue what I'm saying because of a language barrier. Sure. I'm going to make a connection with them. And this entire season has been a struggle. I'm missing baseball, something fierce.
Right.
But I'm glad that the Lord's given me this opportunity to have a chance to be a part of something like this, bringing hope and joy and comfort and relief.
A few of the things you said there I love. I love that we're competing with Chick-fil-A for the best drive-thru in town now.
Oh, they got nothing on us.
They got nothing on us.
Nothing.
But I do love of this too, that we believe hope isn't canceled. And I love that we don't see, some people really struggle with meeting spiritual needs and meeting physical needs. And they feel like, well, if we meet one, we got, and I love that. I love that we don't stand out there and say, before I give you this, you need to pray a prayer, and we offer to pray with people, we offer to bless people, but ultimately we believe some people, they can't hear the gospel because they're hungry, and we see no competition between meeting the physical needs of people and the spiritual needs. And so I love in this season that hope's not canceled. And what I also love is that Hope Distributed is really helping us as a church reach across boundaries and divides. I mean, when we make signs for Hope Distributed, we have to do it in 3 or 4 different languages because that's our community. Yeah. And what a beautiful cross section of our community when you start to really realize who we're ministering to. You start to really see the diversity in our community and the responsibility we really have to reach across all boundaries and cultures
for the sake of the gospel. And I just love that Hope Distributed really, as a pastor, it helps hold me accountable to realizing this is our community that we've been called to reach.
A couple months ago, Voices of America came and did a story on us. And the guy who was doing the story, he was just taken back because, we're sitting in the shadow of the church. And he saw that there were people from different ethnicities, different religious backgrounds coming. And he was really taken aback by the fact that we didn't ask them, well, are you Christian?
Right.
Are you this? Are you that? Instead, we said, do you need help? Are you hungry?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And he just loved that, and that's, I just love everything about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and we don't apologize for being who we are. We don't apologize for our faith in Christ, but we also believe this is an opportunity. This is a way to build a bridge into a person's life, into their story. Maybe some of them never, they see the message of the church as being hostile, as being against them, and this is an opportunity to plant a seed. And I know by having a relationship with many of the volunteers, they're praying over these boxes and they're believing that this isn't just going to feed, their bellies, but we're praying and believing, Lord, let this feed their soul. And so, man, that's beautiful. Jeff, give us a snapshot of who you are a little bit, because many of us are getting to know you. But what I love about your story is that you don't just do what you do for Hope Distributed because it's a job and you just feel passionate about feeding people.
Right.
It is kind of personal from your story. So share a little bit of your story and your testimony.
Gotcha.
And why this is personal for you.
All right. I was born to a single mother. I never met my father. And so growing up, times were tough. I've seen weeks without electric. I've seen Christmas mornings where Santa Claus didn't come down my chimney.
Wow.
And we never had to go to a food pantry because I don't know if there was a food pantry back in the 80s back in Maryland. I'm sure there was, but we never had to go. But I've lived that life where you go out to the fridge and there's nothing left.
Yeah. And
you can't tell now, but I have. So really, I've been where a lot of these people, where the despair that some of these folks that come through Hope Distributed, I've been there. And as a youth, as a kid, I'm thinking the entire time, I will do anything to get out of this. Mm-hmm. This is horrible. This is not fun. I wish I had what other kids have. But now that I'm sitting on this side of the table, this far down the road, I look back at my childhood, and I didn't have a bad childhood. I want to put that out there.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom worked 2 or 3 jobs to support me, or support us rather. But whenever I was a little kid, she could not work a regular job because she had a little kid at home. She had no daycare, so she would clean houses in the neighborhood, and she would only charge. She'd work for 4 or 5 hours a day cleaning these ladies' houses, and she knew that they were struggling financially because they were widows. So she would only charge them $10 for the entire day. Whereas if you get a housekeeper come now, it's like $15-20 an hour.
Right.
So we were pretty much living off of $50 a week, and as I was saying, when I was a kid, I would always think to myself, man, I would do anything to get out of this situation. My friends have cars. They get to go to these places. They get to go see the ocean, wonder what that looks like, and all this stuff. But now sitting on this side of the table, sitting right here, right now with my kids, my wife, my life, looking back where I came from, I wouldn't change a thing because it's really set me up to feel passionately what I feel passionate about. And I think really it's given my sense of empathy like a shot of steroids.
Yeah.
Because I've been there. Whenever you feel down and out, I've been there. And so
speak to that, because whether we acknowledge it or not, there is a stigma that we feel like sometimes, either a stigma, somebody that needs help and feels ashamed or embarrassed, or those that might just assume, those people that need help. There's the stigma of they're lazy. There's the stigma of all these different things. But I'm hearing your story and I'm looking at you and saying, wow, I would never have known that you grew up, and it wasn't because your mom wasn't trying. There were barriers and obstacles, and so you're ministering to people on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis.
Right.
And many of them are trying, and many of them are working. It's not just the homeless population. Some of these people are working hard, but can't keep up and don't have the means. So just speak to that stigma and that sometimes gap between our understanding and then what you're experiencing in the lives of people that are coming through on a regular basis.
Right. Well, what you got to remember is that everybody has a story. There's something going on. My mom, it wasn't that she was sitting at home on the couch. What had happened is a week before I was born, she was like 19 when she had me. That's a key part. She was a teenage mother. A week before I was born, my grandfather died, her mother died a week before me. A week after I was born, her father died. So, my mom's stuck in a situation where there's no husband, nobody, no father of this child, and then both of her parents died within 2 weeks. In the middle of that, she's left with a baby.
Wow.
So whenever you're dealing with the folks at Hope, you can't look at them and be like, oh, here's a poor person. Look in those eyes. Yeah. There is a story.
Right.
I mean, it's not just, oh, they don't want to work, so they're coming to get food from us.
Right.
That's not the case at all.
Yeah.
You got to look at them. I mean, bottom line is they're another person.
Yeah.
And you cannot forget that. That's the number one thing you have to remember. And our volunteers pray before every pantry. We get a big circle out in the parking lot and we pray. And I tell them all that give every box and talk to everybody with a smile, which with these masks on, it's kind of tough.
You just need a smile on your mask.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. But we need to look at every single car, every single person, no matter what their race, ethnicity, religion, this, that, or the other. We got to look to them through the same lens that Jesus would look at them.
Right.
And then once we do that, everything's beautiful.
Yeah, that's so good and so challenging. And Pastor Sam's talked to me a lot about this over the years. He's the kind of the founder of Hope Distributed and
The Godfather.
Yeah, right. That's what he makes you call him, right? But he talked to me a lot about there's poverty in our community that we're often very unaware of, but then there's also kind of this idea of working poor and even some terminology he used that I can't remember right now, but kind of this idea of when you're struggling to make it, often food is the thing that you have to sacrifice, or you can't provide nutrition for you're getting the cheapest thing you can, and so we've learned that. But talk a little bit too. It's not just food.
Oh no, it's not.
There's clothing. There's furniture is a big way that we're able to show up in people's lives. So just talk for a little bit about how you've seen even the growth for that, and the ability to come around and meet other tangible needs through Hope Distributed.
Gotcha. Well, like you said, we also have the clothing. We also have the furniture. The clothing's been great. Hamden works down at our clothing store, and she's phenomenal. And there's just something about giving us a person who doesn't have presentable clothes, give them like a dress outfit.
Yeah.
It adds pride. I mean, oftentimes we'll ask if you have an interview, come see us. We'll get you a tie. We'll hook you up.
Right.
Because not only do we don't want to give a hand out, we want to give a hand up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And as far as our furniture goes, I'll tell you a quick story. Back in January, I got a phone call from this couple who had lived in Fredericksburg, and they hadn't had a home in 2 years. They'd been living in their car. And they went down and they got HUD housing over by Sims in Harrisonburg here, and they're like, we have nothing. And so I went to their apartment and walked around, talked to them, because I wanted to meet them first. I just didn't want to be like, here's your here's your furniture, I'm out. Right. I sat down and talked with them, and when I walked into their house, all they had was a blow up air mattress and a chair. That's all they had, but they were proud of it.
Right. Yeah.
And they told me their story, and we talked to them. It was Skip and Ramona, and I was like, I just thought inside, I was like, I'm gonna help these people out. Because I grew up poor, but I didn't grow up homeless, and that's something that I don't know if I'd be able to do that. And so I spoke with them and talked with them, prayed with them, and made a real bond and a friendship with them. And then 2 days later, I had two students from JMU go with me. I contacted Pastor Billy; he went over with me.
Yeah.
And really, watching these folks cry, because we were giving them stuff, and not really that we were giving them stuff, just like, oh my gosh, these are ours.
Yeah, right.
This is mine. This is my couch.
Yeah.
And it was just an amazing feeling. And they still come to the food pantry. They got a dog. I pet their dog every time they come through. It's great. But the best part about that not only was just helping Skip and Ramon out, but the two JMU students who come from rather affluent families. They're like, I didn't know that people went through this.
Right. Their perspective.
And so just to open their mind a little bit
was
was just as impactful. And I love going into, it's kind of difficult now with COVID. I love going into people's homes and just helping them out like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's very fulfilling and very rewarding. And, I feel like, in a way, if we help out a family who has children, it's kind of like my way of helping out little me.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. And I love the way that, man, how many of us don't even think about that with furniture? And these are things, often they're in great condition, but we realize that, either they're things we don't need or things that we just take for, a bed. Like how much we take for granted.
The things that we take for granted are the things someone else are praying for.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
We're going to close in just a couple minutes by just some tangible ways people can help and people can be aware. But share with us for a minute some future vision. So I know one of the big, the $1 million food thing, that was a huge mark and a celebration.
Yeah.
But God has kind of constantly given new vision and new thoughts and ideas. So just share a little bit more about the future. Now, we're in COVID land, so we're, a little bit of that is kind of surviving and figuring out week to week. And so we're not even sure what the future of that looks like, but just share with us a little bit more about your heart for the future of Hope Distributed.
Well, for our immediate future, my hope is to get back to the self-shop where people have the independence to come inside and shop for their own stuff. And for any volunteers who are watching this, I'm happy to tell you that today we're putting up the plexiglass and the intake windows and getting ready for when we switch back to the intake.
I love it.
So I know a lot of the folks who are involved with boxing goods on Wednesdays are really looking forward to that. As far as our long-term goals, Ellen and I sat down at January, I think it was January 1st actually. We were here on New Year's Day. And we want to increase the 1 million pounds by 12%. We want to get out into more communities. Because right now, where my heart is, because of my background, we didn't have a car growing up. I had to walk everywhere. Right now, the way we're set up, there is no bus route for Hope Distributed and Harrisburg Transit. So my question is, how many people would need hope from us and need help from us but can't get here?
Right.
So we're looking at ways to get out into the other communities, the hollers and the other parts where those folks don't have any way to get to us. So our vision for the food pantry is to branch out and take the food to the people.
Show up where they're at.
We just want to fill needs, and
I love that.
That's the biggest way is getting to the people.
I love that. So some of us watching, I mean, first of all, you guys are people of prayer, and so I know our church family, when we drive on this parking lot, we don't just view a building. This is a partnership that we believe in and we love. And so many of you, if you're not involved in Hope Distributed on a regular basis, you need to be reminded of these stories so you know how to pray. And you know how to pray for Jeff and Ellen as they're kind of getting their feet under them with new leadership. Man, talk about the crazy season to try to lead. And so we're praying for them. We're praying for our Hope Distributed board, our volunteers. So thank you right now. We take this time every week on Midweek to just commit to pray. And so some of you right now are just dropping your name in the comment and saying, I'm praying. Thank you for that. We need that and we value that. But tell us a couple practical ways. You've kind of mentioned, I know to me in conversation, that because some of your consistent volunteers in this season have had to step away, there are needs there. So just tell us about practically some of those needs, and some people maybe watching and saying, man, my kids are out of school this summer and they're bored. Like, how could we get involved? So what does that look like? What are some of your regular volunteer needs now that people watching may want to be involved in?
All right. Well, if you look at the Hope Distributed Facebook page, Ellen does a great job putting a sign up genius, and that's how we track our volunteers. Because though we do need volunteers, if there's a day where we get 30 volunteers, that's overkill.
Right. That doesn't really help.
That doesn't help at all.
Right.
So really, we need some help. One thing that I've shared with Pastor Adrian is that with everyone being home for COVID-19, they got bored. So they started cleaning their closets and their attics and their basements and everything else. And we have so many clothes that we need to sort through. It's mind-boggling. So if folks want to, call us and sign up to do that, great. And there's still open spots to come in and volunteer for the food pantry.
Right.
If you want to come volunteer and you actually just want to stand with me in the parking lot and meet people and talk to people, hey, more the merrier.
Yeah.
But in this time, what I heard said, and with what we're doing and what with the the church is doing with Be a Neighbor. The world is finally learning that the church is not just about a brick and mortar building.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been an amazing time. It's been tiresome.
Right.
And
Sure.
everything
Weird.
else. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's been an amazing time. But I mean, there's all kinds of avenues to come help us. And if you contact myself or Ellen,
Sure.
we'll put you to work.
And the website for Hope Distributed is hopedistributed.org.
That it is.
So that's a great place to go. You may be watching this and you may not be totally familiar with all the hours and what's happening there. That's a great place. And you can share that information. There may be somebody in your life that you're aware of that needs hope. And what a great way to say, man, this is a way that our church wants to partner with you in providing hope. And their Facebook page is a great way. Again, those right now, especially in this season, those volunteer slots are kind of changing. We're adapting to needs all the time. What a great way you can get on there and commit weekly, regularly, or, man, this week I'm going to show up and do something. And what a way that we can not just pray, but we can show up. Finally, giving. We know that giving is important. That's not why you're here.
No.
But some of us want to give. And actually, this is kind of cool. While we're here online right now, we're in the middle of the Great Community Give, which many of you are familiar with as a day in Harrisonburg in this community that has been started to kind of promote giving to nonprofits. And what a great way today. And so it's not over yet, actually. As this is showing, I think till 8 or 8:30.
8:30.
That you can give. And that's just another way that we can support. And so the link is on the website there. Donate, greatcommunitygive.org. And you can go right now, while this is ending, hop on there and just give us some statistics, because maybe you have these on the top of your head, but like, it's crazy how much you can do with so little as far as a financial contribution.
Easiest way to remember it. For $171, 171, we can feed one family 7 days a week for 1 year.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even,
Without coupons even.
Right. I remember even Pastor Sam talking about, because sometimes people want to donate food, and that's helpful, but I think I can go for my $10 to Sharp Shopper and get some stuff, but that $10 at Hope Distributed, they can feed a family for a week. They can feed family for more than a week, even that. So whatever gift you give, they do have a campaign, 171. That's a way that you can do it, or even just the little bit that you can give. I promise you, it's crazy how much that money can be taken and used for such a great impact. Closing thought as we prepare to end, and we're going to pray for you and Hope Distributed. Any final word you want to share with people that are watching today?
All the volunteers, I love you. I appreciate you. Those volunteers who had to step away because of COVID, I love and appreciate you just the same. We can't wait to see you back.
Yeah. Well, let's pray. I know you're praying with us, family, those that are watching live or after, but let's continue to pray that God would use Hope Distributed in these days. God, I have said often in these days that I am so proud, honored, Lord, to be a part of a church that has a tangible reminder. That's kind of what Hope Distributed is to me. It's a tangible reminder that we're called to bring hope. And we believe, absolutely, Jesus, you are the hope. And you are the living water. And you are the bread of life. And we're grateful for that. But we're also called, Lord, to meet tangible needs, to give tangible hope. And so I'm so thankful, God, that you've given us Hope Distributed, and to see it grow over the years, to see you bless it in so many ways, and now to persevere through trial, through obstacle, to see it overcome and continue to flourish. And so I pray a blessing today over the leadership, over the volunteers, over so many that give and support and come around Hope Distributed. I pray today you'd bless them. And Lord, I pray you'd multiply their ministry. Not for our good, not so that we can say, oh, look at Hope Distributed, but really because we believe more than ever there's people in need. More than ever there's people that need hope. And we want broken and lost and hurting and people that are in need to be drawn to you. And you promise us when you are lifted up, you will draw people to yourself. And so that's what we want to do through Hope Distributed, is lift you up. So we give you the glory, we honor you, and we exalt you even now. We love you and thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Jeff, thanks for jumping on with us.
My pleasure.
I hope it's been good for me just to hear Jeff's story and to be reminded of the ways that Hope Distributed is meeting needs. So today you can respond by jumping online, finding ways to get involved and encourage, then continually episode 14 of Midweek. It has been so good. We look forward to seeing you on this space again real soon.